It all started like any ordinary evening, with the quiet rhythm of the neighborhood and the faint sound of distant traffic. My neighbor, always friendly but somewhat mysterious, had suddenly stopped appearing. Her mailbox was overflowing, lights stayed off for days, and a sense of unease began to settle over the street. At first I thought she might have gone on a trip or something similar, but when her car remained parked and no one saw her, worry started to creep in. Then came the strange sounds, low whispers at night, shadows moving behind curtains, and a feeling that someone, or something, was watching. Little did I know that this curiosity would lead me to a terrifying discovery hidden in her basement, a place where fear seemed to breathe and the unexplained awaited. It began with small oddities, the neighbor's mail piling up, an unwashed porch, and a silence that was unusual for someone normally so active. I decided to check with a few neighbors, asking casually if they had seen her, but everyone responded with the same uneasy shrug. The local store owner mentioned she hadn't appeared for days. That's when my concern turned into anxiety. Late one night, while glancing through my window, I noticed the faint light from her house flicker in a pattern that seemed almost deliberate, as if signaling something. My heart raced. Could someone be inside? Or was it an intruder? The thought that she might be in danger made me consider exploring the property, but fear held me back. The street that was once familiar now felt alien, ominous. Then came the noises. At first I tried to dismiss them. Creaks, groans of an old house, but they were distinct, almost like whispering voices echoing through the walls. Every night, I heard them more clearly, especially around her basement. I even recorded some sounds with my phone, but playback barely captured the unsettling depth I heard in person. The whispers seemed to form patterns, rising and falling in intensity. Each time I approached the property, a chill ran down my spine, as if the air itself was warning me to stay away. Yet curiosity and concern for her safety pushed me forward, making me question whether I was imagining things or whether something truly unusual lurked in the shadows of her home. Neighbors began to notice my visits. Some warned me not to get involved, recalling old rumors about the house. Others were silent, but their eyes followed me when I passed. The tension in the street grew palpable. Even the animals seemed uneasy. Dogs barking for no reason, cats disappearing into alleyways. I realized I couldn't ignore the situation any longer. The absence of my neighbor was no longer just a personal concern. The neighborhood itself felt affected, as if some dark presence had settled over the block. I had to act, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger with each step, pushing me toward the inevitable descent into the unknown of her basement. One evening I found the basement door slightly ajar, though I was certain it had been locked before. A faint smell of damp earth and old wood wafted out as I carefully stepped inside. The darkness was thick, almost tangible, and every creak of the floorboards echoed like a warning. My flashlight revealed dust-covered furniture, stacked boxes, and in the far corner, a faint glow, pulsing rhythmically. I felt a pull toward it, a sense that the house itself was urging me forward. Then the first scream pierced the silence, not loud, but filled with pure terror. My heart leapt into my throat as I realized it could only be her. Something was wrong. Something terrifyingly wrong, and the basement was the key. The basement revealed more than just darkness. Objects were out of place, markings etched into the walls, and strange symbols drawn across the floor. The air grew colder with each step, as if the house was alive and breathing around me. I realized that whatever held my neighbor was not just physical, it was something far more sinister. Shadows seemed to move independently, and I felt as if eyes were tracking every motion. Panic threatened to overwhelm me, but I pushed forward, compelled by a mixture of fear and responsibility. I could not turn back. The presence of the unknown had become undeniable, and my neighbor's fate rested in understanding these eerie signs. Suddenly, a figure emerged in the corner of the basement, dark, indistinct, yet exuding menace. A cold shiver ran down my spine as I realized I was not alone. The entity did not move like a human, its shadow stretching and twisting unnaturally. I froze, heart pounding, unable to tell whether it was aware of me or simply existing as part of the basement's haunting. Then, a muffled scream broke the silence again. It came from somewhere behind me, but close enough to pierce the soul. The presence reacted to the sound, shifting and pulsating in response. I knew then that my neighbor was nearby, and whatever this was, it was holding her captive, feeding off fear, and aware of my intrusion. I realized I needed tools to protect myself and reach her. I found a small box among the basement debris, seemingly ordinary but strangely warm to the touch. Claudia, a friend and expert in esoteric symbols, arrived to help. Together we studied the markings and symbols, discovering a pattern of containment and manipulation of energy. Each symbol, each vibration, was part of a complex mechanism, almost ritualistic. We had to act carefully. The entity sensed our presence, and our every misstep amplified its hostility. Fear, however, could not paralyze us. Step by step, guided by Claudia, we prepared for the confrontation, knowing that any hesitation could mean permanent loss of my neighbor. We opened the inner basement door, revealing a chamber of shadows. The air was thick, almost suffocating, with whispers emanating from every corner. Shapes moved in patterns too deliberate to be random, testing our focus and resolve. The box in my hands vibrated, responding to the surrounding energy. Every instinct screamed to flee, but we pressed on, following the pulsing lights and sounds. Claudia led chants of containment, her voice steady amid chaos, while I maintained the energy through the box. The chamber seemed alive, reacting, adapting, and pushing us to our limits. It was clear this confrontation was as much psychological as physical, demanding absolute focus and courage. As we approached the entity's core, a dense, almost tangible darkness swirled around us. It emitted whispers and images of past victims, including my neighbor, creating loops of terror designed to confuse and paralyze. The box responded to our combined energy, allowing us to begin isolating the central force. Claudia intensified the chant, and the shadows recoiled, forming a tighter cluster around the core. Each step was critical. The entity tried to manipulate our memories, but our synchronized focus weakened it. Slowly, the core condensed, the forms around it fading. We saw my neighbor trapped but alive and carefully prepared for the final surge of energy needed to maintain control and allow her rescue. With a coordinated effort, the entity's energy was contained and the shadows began to dissipate. We guided my neighbor up the stairs, each step challenging as residual forces attempted to disorient us. Reaching the surface, the fresh air was overwhelming, a stark contrast to the oppressive basement. The neighbor, still trembling but conscious, expressed her gratitude, and we ensured she was safe. Although the entity was contained, the residual energy hinted at its continued presence. We documented the experience, aware that similar events could be occurring elsewhere. The basement remained a silent witness, a reminder that while we won this battle, the conflict with the unknown was far from over. The pattern of disappearances suggested deeper, interconnected mysteries yet to be uncovered. Before ending, I want to sincerely thank each of you who are already part of this channel. You are the reason we keep exploring these mysteries and bringing spine-chilling stories that hold your attention from start to finish. And for those of you who are new here, if you haven't subscribed yet, click that button now, turn on the notification bell, and become part of a community that loves uncovering what lurks in the shadows. Every like, comment, and subscription helps us continue delivering even more impactful content, stories nobody else tells, and experiences that make your heart race. So don't wait. Subscribe now and join us on this journey into the unknown. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video where the mysteries continue.